Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying. I know you're all hungry and eager to go and have some lunch, so appreciate you persevering. I'm going to talk a little bit about some trends that we see as the Australian Trade and Investment Commission around the world. Our role is to help Australian mining companies, but also Australian mining and equipment suppliers basically chase international projects, whether it's investing in somewhere like Serbia or in other parts of the world. As the Australian Ambassador said this morning, most Australians have been touched by mining in a substantial way. I grew up in a mining town in central Queensland and have had the privilege to work with Australian mining companies in Mexico, the US, the Philippines, and now here in Central Europe. So what I'd like to do very quickly, because I know we're all hungry, is just talk about three trends that we've been seeing. And some things are the same and some things are a bit different. But the mining industry's contribution to economic development has been constant, and the Ambassador mentioned some figures this morning, but I'll just put them up there for you so you can see. Over the last 12 years, the Australian mining industry contributed $203 billion in corporate tax and revenue to the Australian government. It's a huge contribution to our society, and Serbia's goal of achieving 5% of GDP contribution towards the economy is fantastic. In Australia at the moment, it's about 6%. And if we look at the diversity point on that slide, the mining sector employs more Indigenous Australians than any other private sector organisation, so a really valuable contribution to our society. And importantly, $3 billion per annum on R&D, so a significant contribution to our society, and I think around the world it's a similar story. If we think about sustainable development and goals, the Australian mining industry has partnered with the UN and produced this report. I won't give you a précis of the report because we're all eager for lunch, but it's available on the internet if you want to have a read, but it really profiles how 7 Australian mining companies have contributed to the UN sustainability goals. Excuse me, I've got a cold, so you can hear the husky voice. I apologise for that as well. In terms of technology and innovation, we've heard, even from our most recent speaker from Wood, the ingenuity that organisations like that can bring. What Rio Tinto are doing in Melbourne to develop a new process to process the ore body that they're developing in Serbia. So innovation and technology is essential to the mining industry, and it will continue to be so. The Minerals Council of Australia has published this figure. Even back in 2014, a very large number of mining companies in Australia have been utilising drones for monitoring and a whole range of other purposes. So the mining industry is normally ahead of the curve when it comes to innovation. This report, which was released last year by Deloitte, talks about the digital mine of the future, and it sort of goes through the mining life cycle and identifies areas where digitalisation can help. And if I look at one of them on that slide, I'll just choose one of them, wearables. And so, unfortunately, in Poland last year, there was a significant disaster underground. There was a minor earthquake, and unfortunately, several people lost their lives. They found it really difficult to find those people. And wearable technology is developing so much faster now and enabling us to know exactly where our people are underground and keeping them safe. So I think automation in terms of remote vehicles, but also things like wearables, which is all about safety of our people, very important. I won't go through that slide, but even if we look back in time, it was CSIRO, the Commonwealth Scientific Industrial Research Organisation, that patented the technology for longwall automated systems. That system has been around since about 1990 and is used all around the world under a licence arrangement. So these technologies come out of Australia. And for all of you guys sitting in the room using your Wi-Fi right now, CSIRO also invented the Wi-Fi. So we've got a lot of debt to pay to CSIRO. But they're still working in the mining industry today, and just about 3 weeks ago we had CSIRO visiting Poland down at one of the coal mines. It was the mine that had the disaster I was talking about, and they're working on their coal processing. So they're continually looking to provide new innovation and technologies to help companies move forward. The topic I wanted to spend the most time on was this one, regulation and policy. And the Serbian mining law brought into action in 2015. It's fantastic. It provides a blueprint for the future for mining in Serbia, so really delighted to hear that. And one of the trends we are seeing in this part of the world particularly is that that is not always the case. And so in another market where we have responsibility, there's an Australian company looking to do a lithium project in the Czech Republic. It's a very significant ore body, and unfortunately, as you can see by the headline from that newspaper, the Prime Minister of the country is even trying to stop the development of that project. So we're working very closely with the Australian company to try and take that forward. Last year at this conference, I introduced this project. This is a project in Lublin in the eastern side of Poland. It's a coal project, coping coal, about 650 US million capex budget. Will employ 2,000 to 3,000 people in an area where 18 to 19% unemployment, which is unheard of in Poland because its economy is going so well at the moment. This is one of the poorer areas of Poland, but unfortunately this project is on hold. The government, whether we call it populist politics or a whole range of other factors, the permitting is just not progressing with this project at the moment, and it very well could end in a BIT claim, which, you know, if you're an exploration company or a mining company, the last thing you want to do is take your landlord or your partner to court. But that's what is happening in quite a few jurisdictions around the world, so it's probably the most concerning from the Australian government's perspective, and we're very keen to work with countries to help them improve their policy, their decision making, and also put in place regulations that enable mining to progress. In the Australian context, there's our commitment to mining. As you heard before, one of the previous speakers mentioned that 27% of investment in mining went to Australia or Canada last year. It's a huge, huge amount of money, and that's because we've created a landscape that welcomes mining. I won't go through all of these points. That second dot point, back in 2006, the Australian government developed something called Exploring for the Future. It's a $100 million commitment by the Australian government to try and de-risk, on behalf of the private sector, some of the exploration activities. And so Geoscience Australia are doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this project and basically undertaking a lot of research and work to enable the industry to move forward with projects quicker. There's the website if anybody's interested in learning more about it, but the key point there is about de-risking and making the projects more accessible to foreign investment. This is some of the output from that project, so it's giving you a detailed map of all the current Australian mining operations. This is the more interesting one, and there's an updated version of this, but it wouldn't download on my computer last night. But this is all the mineral exploration prospects in Australia. It's a very detailed map, and you can actually, if you go onto the website, zoom in on every single dot point on that map and find out exactly what's there. So worth having a look. This is my little selling pitch. There really is an opportunity for Serbia to benefit the same way that Australia has from mining, and as the Australian government and as the ambassador said this morning, we're really happy to help in any way we possibly can, and we'll do it with our friends from Canada, the UK, US, any country. We're really just committed to wanting to see the Serbian people get the most out of the resources that are on the ground. So thank you very much.
We are asked to proceed to the lunch session.
So maybe we can talk over there during the lunchtime. All of our panelists will be there. So if you have any questions, please feel free to approach them. Nena Stankovic will host next panel from the Stankovic Law Office. Thank you very much. What the requirements are, how technical